Hey everyone, it is Melissa with Sincerely Creative Mom. We're going to make a Valentine wreath on our 10-inch pancake wreath frame. This is a kit, so I'll be walking through instructions on what to do with the kit, but if you don't have this kit or if you have supplies that you can put together, you can follow this recipe exactly as well. So we're going to get started on the first thing. This is our 10-inch frame. I'm going to zoom in closer here. We're going to put all our pipe cleaners exactly where the frame tells us to. So wherever there's a notch in a hole, we're gonna put our pipe cleaners there. So I'm gonna go in through the hole, out through the notch, and I'm gonna make sure on this recipe, I'm tying the outside pieces are tied right on the hole, and the inside pieces are tied right near the notch, okay? So on the hole and near the notch. That's really important. It's a very slight, it's a slight difference, okay? But the placement of the product, of your mesh when you're putting it on, it does make a difference. So even though it might sound small, it is a detail. So we wanna make sure we're putting it right around here, right at the knot, right at the hole, and then right at the notch. Now, if you didn't do this, or if you don't do this, it's not a big deal. It'll turn out very similar. This just kind of helps the process along. So again, in through the hole, out to the notch, right, crisscrossing right on that hole, and then crisscrossing right on the notch. Now there are, you're seeing here, extra holes. We don't need them in this case. I use them mostly on the 14-inch frame. But we added them to the 10-inch frame just to keep it the same. But I don't use them. If I have a sign maybe that I need to use those extra holes and help me with placement, I can use them, but I use them, those extra holes, very rarely. So don't let them confuse you. There's not a notch there to help hold the pipe cleaner in place, so we're not using them. Okay, so now that we have our frame all ready, so they're all again right where the holes are, I'm going to set that aside for just a minute. Let's start on our sign. So our sign is metal. It has holes in it already. I'm going to go ahead and cut this, but I'm not going to take it off. What I'm going to do, just because there's holes there, I'm going to knot the end because the other side is knotted. So I'm going to knot this end. Pull nice and tight. Do the same thing to this side. Knot nice and tight. Cut off that little extra layers. There we go. And then, to kind of keep that hole covered, I'm just going to knot it. Right there at the top. It's just going to be there, period. It's just going to be there. Okay? It's going to be there. Part of the sign. I don't want to take those out because it'll leave those holes there that are, clearly not attractive. Okay. And then if you got the kit came with these zip tie mounts. They're called zip tie mounts, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to peel off the back and stick your mount to the back. And then I am going to encourage you to do one more step. Take your glue gun and then caulk it on there, okay? Caulk it on there. So it's like an extra layer of something helping you. You could also, before you do the, before you put it on, you could add a little bit of super glue to add and make sure you're getting some of the plastic as well. What I'm getting at here is I provide these because I can't assume that you have other things and you need a way to attach this sign. So you can use these and put it right on the back, and you'll slip your pipe cleaner right through it. Okay? Slip your pipe cleaner right through it. And that's what you'll use when it's stuck on there. That's what you'll use to attach to the frame. Okay? I am going to use something different. So if you've got the kit, you do have a way to add your sign. So two other options with this particular sign. You could use these holes as a way to add your pipe cleaner. Okay, and you can attach it right at the top when we attach the sign. Or what I did is I have a jewelry hole punch, and I punched two little holes in each side. And I personally am going to use wire. I'm going to slide it right through both sides. Oopsie. Slide it right through both sides. Now, I include with the kit the zip tie mounts, because that way I know for sure y'all can attach your sign. If you choose to do it different ways, that's completely up to you. I'm just adding this wire. Now you can see the wire from the front. Very minimal, not like this huge thing. That way I can put the sign out of the way. We can get started on the frame. See if I can get that off of there. At least the item number. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna set this aside and grab my mesh. So you have your roll of mesh. You're gonna cut the first, this is important to follow, your first 6 pieces at 20 inches. Cut 6 pieces at 20 inches, and I'm gonna show you what to do with those particular 6 pieces. Now those first 6 pieces end up coming off, and they're loosey, okay? The closer you get to the middle or the center of that roll, you see it's not as loosey, right? It's a little more tightly wound, right? Okay, so here's my 20-inch piece. It's 20 inches long. I'm going to, and I'm going to just so that you can see, we're going to work not in the center, we're going to work off to the side. So about, let's say, 2 inches from the edge. And I'm just going to fold that in once, fold it in twice, okay? So what happens here, this looks like a little curl. This will start to curl, but as you ruffle up, as we're gonna do, it'll curl in more. It'll be the way we want it to. So if it's not curling all the way in right now, it's okay, because what's gonna happen is we're gonna scrunch up this. You see what happened just now? Look, it's going into its curl kind of stage. And you don't have to put this there. That's just so that you can actually see what I'm doing. And then it's gonna keep scrunching, scrunching, scrunching till I get to that other edge. And I'm gonna curl that in and curl it in. And then I'm gonna scrunch the rest, okay? So I'm 2 inches from the edge. Now I have this scrunch, this curl, and this scrunch. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip it over. Okay, I'm gonna flip it over. And this one I wanna make sure, because you see this edge is kind of sticking out a little bit more. I just wanna make sure. I'm gonna pull that. All I did was loosen my finger here, loosen my grip, and pull that. Perfect. The idea is I just want them curling under, not fanning out. And then just for this demonstration, I'm going to use, so that I can teach easier, I'm going to use a zip tie. You do not need to use a zip tie. It did not come with the kit. This is just so I can teach all the pieces together. I'm going to just cut that off. The next piece of mesh, okay, so now you're going to cut 6 more pieces at 10 inches. 6 more pieces at 10 inches. And this is what you're going to do with these pieces. Okay. Now, it's kind of curled already. Perfect. That's actually what I want it to do. I'm just going to curl it in a little bit more, just a little bit, to where this is maybe, it's about 2 inches. Like the width here is about 2 inches. I'm going to go in that same spot, about 2 inches from the bottom, and just scrunch. I'm going to make sure the outside seam is in the back, because I want that going like this. And then just for this demonstration, I'm going to use a zip tie so I can go on to the next one. And then the last piece, we're going to cut 6 more pieces at 10 inches. 6 more pieces at 10 inches. And this is what you're going to do with those 6 pieces. Okay, here's my 10-inch. Now I'm going to take my cut edge and I'm going to fold it over to my cut edge. Cut edge to cut edge. Fold it in. And then I'm just going to scrunch up just along the edge, enough to where I have something to hold on to. Not necessarily, I'm going to try to maybe be around an inch. Not necessarily that I'm looking at an inch. I'm just trying to be enough to where this has a nice little bubble here, and I have enough room here to add into that pipe cleaner. Again, here I'm going to use my zip tie just for this demonstration. Okay, cutting off my zip tie, and I'm going to cut off this excess. So just to make it like a little bit neater. Okay. All right, now I'm going to set this aside. Now we're ready to apply the mesh. So I haven't touched my ribbon. I haven't touched anything with the ribbon. We're going on to our mesh. Okay, here we go. I'm going to work on the outside and then the inside. Outside and then the inside. So different from any other wreath I might do. I'm going to do this in a pattern. Okay. On the outside of the twist tie, I'm going to take the 20-inch piece. Outside of the twist tie, 20-inch piece, setting that right down in there. Nice and tight. That's it. Then I'm going to take my 10-inch piece, making sure that the seam is in the back. Okay, so it's going to go down, right? And the idea here, again, I zip tied, so that's totally irrelevant. Okay, you're probably just going to put it in there. What you want to make sure is you are keeping this level with this. So that might not mean I'm putting it in where I put the zip ties. Zip ties are irrelevant. That just helped me to do the demonstration, okay? So I just want to make sure that where I'm tying, this ends up being as close to equal as possible. I want a nice big circle. Okay, I want a nice big circle. Again, crisscross, nice and tight. Twice, that's it. Now I'm going to go in again with another 20-inch piece. So I did 6 of each type of mesh. 6. Again, making sure about the same here. Okay, seam in the back, over and over and over, making sure I'm doing the same thing. Now, here's the deal. You want those first 6 pieces that you cut off, the first 6 pieces at 20 inches. You want those specifically to be the parts that you use for the this part, because you want it to expand. You want it to expand. The closer you get to the inside of that roll of mesh, it's not expanding as much. Okay, just because the way it was rolled and the way the material is and all the things. So you want to make sure that you follow those directions. It will give you the best chance to turn out the way this is going to turn out. Now, is it going to be perfect? No, none of them are perfect, but you want the best opportunity for it to expand so that they all touch. Again, the 20-inch piece goes on the outside and the 10-inch piece goes on the inside. Now it starts to get a little snug in here, but you're going to see that last piece of mesh, the bubble type that we put in, that we made, you're going to see how that holds everything together. Okay? Holds everything together. Going in here with our last piece, so we're just going to snuggle it right in there. Again, seam in the back. Perfection. All fits perfectly. Again, they are going to kind of bubble up, and that last piece of mesh that we use will help seal it all together. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. We got our most of our base done. We got our sign ready. Let's work on the ribbon. So in our kits, on the listing, it will say what ribbon is for what. Okay, on the listing that you read, hopefully, when you purchase the kit, it'll say what ribbon is for what. It'll say 2.5 inch kiss or lips ribbon for the tails. 2.5 inch pink plaid ribbon for the tails. It'll say 2.5 inch red and black or red, black and white heart ribbon for the bow. Okay, it'll tell you exactly what ribbon is for what when you're purchasing a kit, and when you get your kit to see what it is, because it's going to come to you just like this, all together, just like this. Okay, and you'll be able to know what's what because it has it on the listing. Also, okay, also when you're buying a pancake petite, we know that we need 6. Okay, so it'll be wound like this. I know that this isn't for the tails because there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 6, so I know this isn't for the tails, right? So I'm gonna set those aside. That's gonna be for our bow. So what I did was I took our ribbon. Sorry, I keep going back. I took our ribbon. It's folded like this in 14-inch strips. So I just took my scissors, put my finger in there, cut. After I knew it was for the tails, this is for the bow. I'm not cutting, and then cut. Okay. Then the other thing I did was I lined them all up, folded it in half, cut on the fold up towards the edge, and that gave me that pretty little finished look. And then I took the ribbon tail ribbon. I took my favorite. You all know my favorite is the plaid. I'm a plaid person through and through. But of course we want to see a little bit more of this kiss ribbon. So I took the favorite ribbon, I put it on the top. I made sure it was about the same length. Now, are they going to be exactly? No. Do they have to be exactly? No. Will you notice if they're not exactly the same? Also no. So just do your best. You don't have to take your time to go exactly 14 inches. Just cut the way I told you to. Fold it. Find the middle. Okay. I did all of that. I set them aside. Now, I'm going to go back and start putting them where? I'm putting them on top of the 20-inch piece. Okay, because remember this one stuck out a little bit more and this one was just in a little bit more. Although right now you're probably thinking they look like they're about the same, but you see how that one's a little bit more in than this one? So I want my ribbons to stick out as much as possible. Okay, 14-inch ribbons, they're going to do exactly what we want them to do. So I'm going to unfold. Again, keeping that scrunch motion. Scrunch. So I'm just going to scrunch it right up the center. Face it out towards me. Okay, I want all those tails to come out towards me. I'm going to put it right on top there. Now, I'm not personally putting anything else in the top of this. If you were putting something else or florals or whatever, you might not want to twist it, but I twisted it all the way. And we're going to do that all the way around until we get back, and then we'll do the next step, okay? So we're going to add all the ribbon, and this is just because I do it in layers. I do it in steps. Okay, scrunch up the center. Looking for that 20-inch piece, the one on the outside, going right on top. Crisscross, twist, twist. Okay, keep going. So as a wreath maker, when I'm making, you know, several wreaths in a day, I gotta find any way to save me time, okay? Any way to save me time. So if I don't have to pick up this 6 different times and I can just pick it up once and cut off all that excess that I don't need. This is just the ones that are on top of the ribbon. We're not done with the other ones yet, just the ones on top of the ribbon. Okay, and then here's what I'm gonna do. This is an important step, a defining step between, hey, mine looks like yours, hey, mine doesn't look like yours, okay? So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna fold this over so it hides. I'm gonna kind of push that down so it all scrunches together. I'm gonna lift these 2 ribbons up and apart from each other, okay? So when we scrunch them, we're scrunching them together as one. If I don't pull them apart there and pull them apart side to side, they're gonna just go on top of each other. You're gonna pull them out, you're gonna do this, and they're gonna end up back on top of each other. That's not what we want. We wanna make sure that they end up separate. So we're gonna continue to make sure we do that. I'm gonna push that down, push it down, kind of secure it, pull it up and down and side to side. Now, even if you're watching me live, I promise, I do this every single time. Every single time I do this. And then I don't touch the ribbons until the very end because I'm moving things around, things are shifting, all the stuff. And so I know that I'm gonna have to put them in place perfectly for my picture, right? They're gonna shift, they're not metal, we didn't glue them in to make sure they don't move, right? So I'm not gonna mess with them after I put them in. I'm gonna put them in place. As long as I know I have been able to pull them apart and side to side, I've separated them. I know that in the end, when my sign is on, they're gonna go where I want them to go, period. The only time I might mess with my ribbon tails during the design is, let's say I'm adding florals and I'm gluing things in place. At that point, if my tails aren't, you know, if they're really not in a good spot, they may not end up being in the right spot after I glue things in, right? So that might be a different story where I'm messing with them kind of in the middle. But otherwise, I want to make sure I'm not wasting time going back and forth to moving those. So once I have them in place, I'm not going to touch them, okay? Now, let me grab them. Now we're going to work with those little bubbles, okay? Now, in different steps, I didn't do this in different designs, different recipes that I was trying out through the years. I didn't do this step. In this this step kind of seals it all together. It kind of keeps it like sandwiched together so that the ribbons don't flop forward, the mesh stays out, everything kind of stays in place. So we're going to take those 10-inch little pieces. Now this was the one where we folded and, you know, just cut off the end and that kind of thing. So I'm going to take those pieces there, and it's going to go on the pipe cleaner that's left, which is on top of the 10-inch piece. Okay, it's on top of the 10-inch piece. Now, you might be like, oh no, it's covering up the ribbons. It's not covering up the ribbons as much as you think. I'm going to twist that all the way because we don't need anything else. I'm not putting anything else in there. Okay. Now, as I go around, they're going to kind of seal on top of each other. They're going to seal, they're going to overlap. This one is going to go on top of this one. And they're going to make this nice, tight-knit little circle in the center that will sandwich all of your supplies together and kind of help them from flopping forward when your wreath is on the door. Okay? I love, love, love this. It is a game changer, and I know some of you might be around since I did the Pancake 2.0 and the ribbons were a little bit longer, and after some time they flopped forward. It just turned out to be not the greatest design, even though it was still a big design, not the greatest. So this takes care of that wonderfully and like seals the deal, kind of seals the deal. So I'm not trying to take up the ribbon, so I'm pulling them in a little bit more than where my pipe cleaner or where my zip tie is. Remember, you don't have to do the zip ties, so you might not have the zip ties. You just want to make sure it is enough on the ribbon where it's keeping it in place, but not completely covering it, right? Weird. This one, I'm gonna go a little, just gonna tuck it right underneath there like I have been all the other ones. Okay, take my extra, or my wire cutter. Don't use your good scissors if you don't have to cut these off. They are wire. They'll start to dull your scissors over time, so make sure you do have a separate wire cutter. If you don't have one, it's okay obviously to use your scissors, but you'll go through, you know, your scissors faster. All right, so now, super cute. Again, I'm not fixing my ribbons on purpose. We'll fix them at the very end. So now I know my sign is gonna go in the center here, but I have to leave room for my bow. Okay, I have to leave room for my bow. So I'm going to center my sign a little bit higher so that I have room for my bow, so my bow's not hanging off completely. But I want you to take note, with this added piece, you're not seeing that frame, okay? I mean, if I added the sign, you're not gonna see that frame anyways. Zoom me out here a little bit. You're not gonna see that frame anyways, but the mesh helps with that also, helps covering the frame. Okay, I'm not gonna attach this just yet, and you can see our ribbons are all messy. I'm gonna set this aside. We're gonna make our bow. Now you make your bow in however layers you want to, whatever order, that's what I'm trying to get at, sorry, whatever order you want to. I'm gonna go with the 2.5 inch first. I'm gonna zoom you back in here. I'm gonna go with this 2.5 inch first. Before I go any further, if you have not checked out learnfrommelissa.com, it is in the description so you can see learnfrommelissa.com. I would definitely check that out. It's where you can find anything that we have to offer as far as classes and garland tutorials, extra large wreath tutorials. There's a creative confidence class in there that is amazing. There is a class in there that teaches you how to price your items. If you want to get yourself into a boutique, a local boutique, it talks you all the way through. So if you haven't visited learnfrommelissa.com, I highly suggest definitely taking that out and looking through all the different options that are there. There's also some free resources and a list of our favorite suppliers and a list of our favorite tools that you can go and check and see, like what I'm using, the glue pot, the scissors, all those things to kind of help and guide you along so you don't have to waste time and money doing the trial and error. I've already done a lot of that for you. So let's make our bow. I'm gonna start with a 8-inch tail. Now, I will say, some of the ribbons I cut for the kit were the last on the roll, so I have a little bit less than you may. However, you should have 3, 4, a little over 4 feet, so about 4.5 feet, okay? That's what you should have. I have a little less than that on some of my ribbons. So I'm gonna take my tail, start with the tail first, 8-inch, and I'm gonna go to 6 inches on my loop, okay, and I'm gonna pinch. I'm gonna take that apart just like we took the ribbons apart, and I'm gonna twist, come in for my next loop, about 6 inches, same. I'm just gonna eyeball it, pinch, twist, and loop. Okay, so my bow is going to have 3 loops total. Twist. 2 on each side, 1 loop on the other side with 2 tails. Okay, that's how my bow is going to go. Now you might be thinking, like, why is she using this? I'm not using it the way it's kind of intended. That's true. I'm using it the way I need to because I have carpal tunnel and I can't hold all the ribbons in my hand at the same time, number one. Number two, I'm really not that coordinated to do that, if you want me to be completely honest. So I like to make the layers in my hand, but I need a place to put that layer while I go on to the next one, okay? So we are gonna go on to the next one, and I'm gonna use the white, solid white ribbon. Sorry, I was stuck there. It looks like this is the same amount that y'all have. So I'm gonna start with the white ribbon. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit shorter than this last tail and a little bit shorter than this last loop. That's the way I'm gonna measure, okay? So we're not quite at 8, we're about 7.5, and we're not quite at 6, we're about 5 3/4, maybe a little bit more, okay? And the same thing, I'm gonna pinch, twist, loop, pinch, twist, loop, pinch, and twist. Now, the 2 loops are on this side. The next layer, the 2 loops are going to be on this side. So I'm going to take that layer, here are my 2 loops, and put it on this side. This is just going to help us balance that bow when we put it in, so it'll be nice and neat. Now I can't remember because I had a whole bunch of ribbons on my desk at the same time, but I'm pretty sure this is still part of this kit. If it's not, that's okay. But I'm going to add it because I wasn't really sure. And this one is a little bit shorter than what you will get or what you have, so just know that that's okay. You're not gonna have as much left over as I am. You'll have more. All right, so I'm gonna add the white again, a little bit shorter and a little bit shorter. Everything just gets a little bit shorter, a little bit, not a lot, less than a finger's width. Pinch, twist, loop. Even though this is a solid ribbon, pinch, twist, loop. Even though it's a solid ribbon, I'm still in the habit of twisting. Okay, I'm still in the habit of twisting. Here are my 2 loops. My 2 loops are just going to go on the opposite side now. Making sure I'm cutting those ribbons. You can see my ribbon's going to be a lot shorter this time. Again, that's just because I had the last of the ribbon. Okay, taking it a little bit less. Measure a little bit less. Pinch. Twist. Loop. Now, you could decide that you wanted to put your polka dot after the white and then the pink, because we have another polka dot coming on top. It's completely up to you. 2 loops, doing opposite, 2 loops. Okay. And then our last one, which is my favorite, it's a pink ribbon with red polka dots, red glitter polka dots. And for this one, I'm just going to do a corner. Okay. And for this one, I'm going to have an extra loop. That extra loop is going to be what we use to cover our pipe cleaner, help hide it. Okay, so I'm going to start with my tail, again, a little bit longer than the last, a little bit longer than last, shorter than last, sorry. Or my middle loop is going to be roughly, it's about 4 inches. Okay, that middle loop is about 4 inches. You can go 3 inches if you want. This one's just about 4. I'm going to pinch. This doesn't count towards my loop count. Pinch, twist, loop, pinch, twist, loop. So this loop is a little bit shorter than the last layer loop, okay? Pinch, twist, loop, pinch, and twist. Now that's my center. So now I have 3 loops and 2 tails. This is my center, okay? So I'm still watching. Where are those 2 loops? My 2 loops are gonna go opposite of the last 2 loops. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna take that, excuse me, I'm gonna take that right off of there, nice and easy. Before I get it all the way off, I'm gonna squish it nice and tight. I got my fingers underneath to grab it so that that stack stays a stack, okay? Take my pipe cleaner. You can use whatever you want. You can use whatever you want. Wire if you have it. I'm gonna use pipe cleaners because that's what it came with the kit. Once I have it upside down like this, I still push down a little bit. I want that stack to stay so tight and in place. 1, 2, 3, twist that around. Now I'm gonna hold it in my hand just like this. I'm gonna take my center loop right to the top, work the first thing, hold it with my thumb. So I try to make sure that that hides the pipe cleaner from the very top. Now it's gonna go in my wreath with my first layer tails coming down. In my wreath with my first layer tails coming down. That's how I want it to go in there. It's the longest part of your bow. I don't want that going up into the sign. Okay? Longest part of my bow coming down off the wreath. Okay, now I'm gonna just take from layer by layer, I'm gonna take and pull them out so that we have a nice pattern. I'm gonna point that out to you in just a second. Let me get these in place. I'll talk you through it in the next round. Okay. Oops, let's go that one over here. So you can see from here, I did red, red. And then in between the red, I did white, white, white. In between the white, so I'm looking at the last layer. In between the white, I did pink, pink. In between the pink, I did red, red, red. So I'm just fanning that out so that from the top, you can see all the layers on the way down. Okay? See all the layers on the way down. So let's walk through that. I have my red. So now I'm continuing that pattern. Red, white, red, white. Red goes next to the white. White, red, white. Let me flip these up so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay? So this is layer 1. This is layer 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. You can see the 2, and then here's the 1, the red. Okay? This the 2.5 inch. I'm gonna do that all the way around. So next is the pink. So I'm gonna go this now. This is layer 1. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So as best as I possibly can, right? I want to see all those layers as best as I can. My bow or my pipe cleaner stayed great in the back. Just absolutely darling. You could have also, you know what, now that I think about it, you could have also put the white in the back so you saw the hearts a little bit closer to the top, but it's totally fine. Let's go ahead and get our sign attached. So now we know we need a little bit of room. I say this over and over again, I'm okay with it going over my sign a little bit more. I obviously don't want it to be like this. I want to see my sign, and I don't want this to be kind of falling off the edge here. I do want it to overlap just a little bit. So I'm going to make sure I put my sign in where it's not quite in the center, a little bit up toward the top. And I'm using my wire again, and I'm going right through all the mesh. Obviously I'm not going through the wire, but I'm going through all the mesh to kind of help seal everything in. And then once those wires are in, I'm not going to attach it just yet. I'm going to go to the other side and get those wires in. So because the frame is 10 inches and the sign is 12 inches, and I put that wire on the edge of that 12-inch frame, you can see it's a little different, right? It's a little different. So trying anything to get those, there we go. Anything to get them in. All right, now that they're in place, I want to make sure that stays just like that, because I'm looking at this. Does that look symmetrical? Okay. Does that look symmetrical? Does that look good? Does that look like it's right? Does that look, you know, like it's in the right place? And do I have enough space down here? Everything looks good. I'm going to hold on to this and flip it over to the back so y'all can see. Okay, I'm going to keep some pressure there and grab my wire that I just put through. The whole point is, when I lift this wreath up, I don't want the sign to shift. Not up, not down, not in, not out, not anything. I want it to stay right where I had it. So I'm going to twist that around. Tuck it right underneath there. I'm going to lift that up nice and carefully. Make sure nothing shifted. Nothing shifted a little bit. Let me just make sure. There we go. Okay. Flip it back over. Nice and tight. Now here is where, you see that hole right there? Here's where, if I needed to, I could have said, oh, I don't have enough wire. Let me just go through that hole there because it's closest. So it's just there as a helper, not that you needed it or need it, but just as a helper. Okay, there we go. Just like that. Perfection. Adorable. Okay. Then I'm going to take my sign, or my bow rather, my bow. That's going to hide the rest here, those zip ties that I have in. Now I don't want it to go so far over. I still want to see my booth. I still want to see the booth. Okay. Just going to go in here underneath. Slide it in. Perfect. Slide it in. Absolutely adorable. Perfect. And then I'm just tying it the same way I did the, or yeah, attaching it the same way I did the sign. I'm attaching it. Just a pipe cleaner instead of a wire. And then the last thing I get to do, first of all, I'm going to thank you all for watching. If you watched this far, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you very much. I hope I taught and learned you something. I hope I taught you something. We'd love to have you subscribing so that you can always get reminders and notifications when we have new videos. So make sure you're subscribed to our channel. I can't wait to see you back. Here's where I also add a lot of our kit instructions so that you can always come back to that at any time. So they're all here. But there's also other videos that are different than this particular design, so you can enjoy watching all the different things. Let us know if you have any questions, and don't forget that learnfrommelissa.com is your Sincerely Creative Mom resource. That's where you can find everything we have to offer, from paid classes, free resources, all of our social medias, where you can find our wreath kits, where you can find earrings we sell, all the different things. This turned out super cute. For those of you who purchased the kit, thank you very much. I hope this was a big hit in your house or with your customers. I absolutely love it. And let me zoom you out a little bit more, and so you can see the whole thing. And I'm proud to say, other than the bow, it still fits our pancake design as it being nice and thin around the perimeter. So, and you can see that bow sticks out pretty good. But super duper cute. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much for watching. And I really hope to see you again soon. Bye, y'all.